Welcome back, everybody, to another Weather to Glance upload. In today's video, we are going to be talking about a potential big cool down coming into portions of the Northeast and the Ohio Valley and parts of the Midwest over here, as well as a tornado event going on today that could reach portions of Ohio and into West Virginia, and a possibly big tornado event later today throughout the Carolinas and northeastern Georgia. And on top of all of that, we have a possible flooding event throughout the portions of the south central United States today. So we have a lot to talk about in this video, all coming up in just a minute. Alright, and as we take our first look at our first slide, we are looking at the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center Outlook. And as you can see, we are already beginning to see some of those thunderstorm outlooks throughout portions of the Northeast, the central U.S., and the south central U.S. This, as far north as here, I do not think we will see thunderstorms throughout this northern bit today, just because of the colder temperatures, the overcast conditions, and the rainy conditions. There really isn't enough convective ability today to really see much of a thunderstorm event, but that'll all come later today, so we will just have to wait and see. And as you can see, we have our marginal risk of severe weather, which means that this is where things start to get a bit more interesting. Now, I do not think that there will be really any severe weather throughout these areas, the northern areas of the marginal risk, like right throughout around here, but there is a risk for tornadoes today, just for those areas, a very small risk of tornadoes, so we will have to keep an eye on that. Nothing major, though, at the time. Now, we are looking at our slight risk of severe weather, and this is definitely where you are going to begin to see those thunderstorms, those stormy conditions, and those tornadic conditions throughout the evening hours today, possibly throughout the afternoon hours as well. So you will have to keep yourself ready if you live in this yellow slight risk condition, and you will have to make sure that you and your family have a slight plan just in case of some severe storms. You'd have to plan your day around the storms as they go throughout the evening. Now, if you live in the enhanced risk, you are going to want to make sure that you are prepared for severe weather. This is where things take a big step up from just severe thunderstorms to more of the enhanced thunderstorms that are really starting to pick up their game. This is where you can definitely see those tornadoes throughout today, maybe some more moderate tornadoes, maybe an EF1 to an EF2, more so than an EF0. It all depends on what the storm conditions are throughout today. As we move on to our final region onto this SVC map, you can see that we have a moderate region. Now yesterday, this moderate region was all throughout this enhanced region right here, but the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center slimmed it down just a bit, which I completely agree with. The conditions are good for severe weather today, but not as good as for a giant moderate risk all throughout these areas. So if you live in this moderate risk, you will definitely want to keep an eye out today because there are some very good conditions for tornadoes with the speed shear and different parts of rotational shear, and the vorticity is very good as well. And we also have high cave values throughout that portion right there, as well as all throughout Virginia and throughout the Carolinas and Georgia. So you will want to keep an eye out for basically areas throughout this area today. Alright, and now we're going to take a look at our Storm Prediction Center Tornado Outlook, which, as you can see, this was on my thumbnail. It gives you a better perspective of what we're really expecting today with severe weather. So you can see, like I said before, we have those portions of this marginal area of tornadoes, that's what I'll call it. And this right here, you basically have a potential to see tornadic activity. Not much that I'm really predicting. As always, take consideration from your official meteorologists who have gone to school for what they do, and you will get better information from them. Now, as we move on to our brown region, you can see that this is where you start to take a step up into those areas of tornadoes, and this is where you will start to see that tornadic activity begin. Anywhere north of here, you have a potential, in my opinion, to see tornadoes right here in this line, this is where you begin to start to see that you will start to see some pop-up tornadoes probably around your area. Not too many as yesterday. Yesterday was a very rare occasion, so that does not mean you are going to see tornadoes near your area, just a potential for localized tornadoes near you. As we move into this yellow region, you begin to see that black hatched region, and this means that there's a significant chance for this potential. So as you can see, we have that 10% region right there, so that means there's a significant chance for this 10% to happen. Now, the Storm Prediction Center uses a different category, which kind of slims things down a little bit. As you can see, the highest potential is a 60%, and that is very rare as well. Yesterday, with our high risk of severe weather, we only saw a purple 45%, which is one of the very, very high regions for tornadoes. And you saw what happened with all those major tornadoes yesterday throughout the live stream. It was very significant, and I'm glad, as far as right now, I have not heard of any deaths, and I am really hoping that does not, or any fatalities. I'm happy right now to hear that nothing of that sort has happened. Hopefully we don't hear any more news such as that, but today is not going to be an event at all like that. Just some possible localized tornadoes, occasional drop downs, nothing major at all that anyone is forecasting, so you do not have to worry about that. As always, plan around the severe weather. Take a look at your mobile radars and your weather apps or your local news, and even a NOAA radio. You can find out your localized forecast to plan around those storms and better help your day to flow. Alright, and now we are going to move on to our GFS current precipitation outlook. And as you can see, we have that slowly moving low pressure system over portions of Illinois. It's a 998 millibar low pressure system. Nothing too severe, nothing too low. It is a moderately low pressure system, but it is not going to bring any torrential rainfall or anything of that sort. Just some moderate to heavy rainfall. And it is going to be moving throughout the Northeast over portions of Ohio and Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Massachusetts, bringing lots of rainfall, but not really much of a flooding event that you should be too worried about unless this low pressure system starts to show a more stationary being. Alright, and we are moving on to our GFS precipitation outlook, and this is in the afternoon hours today, and you can see that this low pressure system does eventually make it off to the coast, and this is where that severe weather will start to come into play. Those showers moving off to the shores, they will hit that line of convective available potential energy, which is basically energy for storms, and you will see definitely some strengthening in those storms throughout parts of this region right here. Now we're going to be looking at tomorrow evening's precipitation outlook, and I think this might surprise those of you who live in this region of Virginia with this severe weather. Alright, and as you can see, there is a portion in an area of snowfall coming tomorrow as that cold front slopes down into areas all throughout the Northeast and the Southeast. You can see that those cold temperatures will bring a bit of snowfall, maybe some pop-up snow showers or a line of snow showers. Accumulation probably will be sparse to none due to the lack of very cold ground conditions, and some mixed precipitation possible throughout these regions of northern North Carolina and Virginia. As forecasters have been talking about, this is kind of an odd event where you have severe weather the one day, then snow the second day, and it is going to be a very interesting situation. So tomorrow, make sure you're ready for possibly icy road conditions. Nothing too severe, but definitely something you want to look out for. All right, now we're looking at our GFS Vorticity model, and this is basically going to show you the level of rotation throughout parts of the tornadic event today. And as you can see with this low pressure system, anytime you have a low pressure system, you always will see those higher levels of vorticity just because of the rotation in the low pressure system, but this is nothing that we're worried about in Indiana or Illinois. More areas around here, you can see that away from the low pressure system, you can see those areas of vorticity rotation. And it does get pretty interesting throughout the evening hours later today, so that is something you are going to want to keep a lookout for later today. You can see there's pretty good vorticity levels, which means that we will have a chance for tornadoes, especially throughout this area right here. These two little divots in the Carolinas. You are definitely going to keep an or keep an eye out for those storms later today. All right, and now we're going to take a look at our high resolution rapid refresh, our HRR forecast model, which will show you the levels of convective available potential energy throughout today. As you can see, we have widespread 1,000 joules per kilogram, which is a very good region for thunderstorm development, especially throughout West Virginia, Ohio, and areas like that. See, as I said before, there does not seem to be too great of a convective available potential energy above the Pennsylvania line, which shows that, storm development will likely stay below West Virginia, throughout West Virginia, but never come into these northern areas. And as you can see, there's plenty of convective available potential energy for these areas down south. And just because the more available potential energy is just down here in the South Carolina area, Georgia area, does not mean that tornadoes will be most prominent there. It just means that the storm development might be a little bit more severe, but no, it does not mean that there will be more tornado activity. So that's something you want to keep in mind. You will be able to see tornadoes, some localized tornadoes maybe throughout today. That's a possibility throughout the Georgia area and Florida, but nothing too major with that convective available potential energy outlook that you're seeing here. Our more severe region for tornadoes today will be around this area, like we've said before. Just generally staying within this region. Anything above this region, this whole area around here will have a chance to see tornadoes today. But not anything severe like we saw yesterday. And the final outlook that I'm going to be showing you today is our precipitation outlook, which if you saw in the thumbnail, you can definitely see that there are some high levels of precipitation throughout the southeast. Now, because our thumbnail covers up some of these other areas, let's say throughout portions of the Midwest, you can see that there's heavy rainfall amounts out here. And throughout portions of Pennsylvania and Ohio, you guys can expect some heavy rainfall amounts too, possibly some localized flooding. Nothing major, of course, but down in the southeast with all that rainfall that you saw recently, there is some potential for flooding events throughout as the week goes on. This is 90 hours out, and you can see the total rainfall totals. We have widespread regions of 2 to 3 inches. And possibly even in some areas, some 5 to 6 inches. And generally, this is going to be a lot of rainfall for these areas. You can see throughout Illinois, there's going to be some heavy pockets of 4 to 5 inches of rainfall. Definitely something you're going to want to keep a lookout for throughout the upcoming days. This is about 90 hours out again, and this is something that you are going to want to keep an eye on. Stay away from basically any rivers throughout these areas. You don't want them, overflowing. And something that you do want to keep an eye out on is throughout these higher elevation areas, more north, rivers flow downward, down through the Mississippi. So if, let's say, throughout the Pittsburgh area, if you get a lot of rainfall throughout these areas, all that water is going to flow down the Ohio River, and then it is going to flow into the Mississippi. And when you get down into these flat areas throughout Louisiana, that could cause flooding. So something that is so significant up in Pennsylvania that would not really affect flooding up in Pittsburgh and areas of Philadelphia and all that would affect Louisiana. So that's something that you do want to keep an eye out on down in those southern areas, because in a couple days this water could flow down to your area and you could have some potential flooding on top of what you've already had, but nothing really too severe at the time. Alright, and I do want to thank you all for watching today's video. If you are new to the channel, I would definitely consider subscribing to the channel for more forecasts, of course, free of charge. I am just an amateur forecaster at the moment, but I love what I do, and I definitely love to bring forecasts to you guys for free. I want to give big thanks to the sources that I use in my videos. Today, we use Pivotal Weather, which we use almost every day in our forecasts. It is where we get those lovely forecast models that you have previously seen, and the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center page. This is where I get those outlooks that you saw in the earlier portions of the video. And they provide these wonderful outlooks that save lives, and they do a very wonderful job informing all of us about the ongoing severe weather throughout the spring and throughout the rest of the year as well. I would ask that you consider following the Weather at a Glance Facebook page if you are into weather information. I also have a Facebook group out there called Net Enthusiasts. If you want to talk all about weather, I would suggest that you go join that as well. You just search up Net Enthusiasts in the Facebook search bar, and you can come and join at any time. It's very fun over there. We talk about severe weather and all kinds of different weather events, compare forecast models, everything just, about weather. So if you are a weather geek and you love to talk about weather, well, come on and check us out over there. I'm sure you would have a great time. And if you message me on my Facebook page for your region, I will give you a complimentary personal forecast for your personal area. And that could, if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer them. Again, this is what I love to do, so I will always be happy to do forecasts for you. Again, thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your day today.